Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions for a very special edition of League One predictions. It is time for the playoffs, and there was times during the season where we thought this might be a somber affair, but who knew that all we needed was a splash of yellow to make things better? That's right. That's because my beloved Oxford United roared into that final playoff spot, and we'll get to their game against Blackpool later on. But first, we've got to deal with this game. It is Lincoln versus Sunderland.
So Ian, Sunderland have the chance to go back into the championship, but they're only in the playoffs. They couldn't come top two. They ended up in fourth place, only on 77 points, equal with their opponents, Lincoln City, who also ended on 77 points, but a solid 9 goals better in goal difference. That's right, I'm saying useless statistics at you. Let's talk about what this team actually is. They only won 1 of their last 5 games leading up to the playoffs. They are not coming in great form. And Lee Johnson still looks like he's having slight problems trying to figure out this team. Is it a 4-2-3-1 or is it the more defensive 4-3-3? From what I can tell from the fans, they don't like the 4-3-3. They much prefer the 4-2-3-1. Surprise, surprise, fans like attacking football. Who knew? Their top performers this season have been Charlie Wyke, who is the second highest goal scorer in the league. He's got 25 goals and 3 assists, but they're supplemented that with Aiden McGeady. He's effervescent, ever ethereal. He's a god among men. Aiden McGeady, 14 assists, 4 goals. He's the top assister in League One, and they're helped out by his midfield colleague Lynden Gooch, Captain America of the League One.
Don't talk to me about Lynden Gooch. He always scores against Oxford.
9 assists, 4 goals. He's an absolute powerhouse in the midfield for them. The last 2 matches, though, have seen 1-1 draws between Sunderland and Lincoln. But in the last one in the Cup, Sunderland managed to come from behind and win in penalties. Surprise, surprise, in the league, Sunderland were winning and managed to concede a goal some point in the second half and draw 1-1. In both matches against Appleton's boys, Sunderland have dominated possession-wise. They're going to take heart from the fact that they hammered Lincoln 4-0 in December. Johnson's time, though, has been plagued by weird defensive insecurities, which have caused the same problems they've caused every other manager, but he hasn't found a way to right that ship, even with the more defensive 4-3-3 he plays. O'Neill has been key to them at centre-backs since he moved into that position, and they'll be looking for a really big performance here. There's a question at left-back. Is it going to be McFazdian? Is it going to be Hume, who started the season, went down injured, and has kind of ended it there? Or Saint Sloaney Vokins, who's been hampered by COVID? It's looking probably like Hume on the left and McLaughlin on the right. But if he starts with McFazdian, anyway, he's the much more attacking choice. And if he plays him, you're going to see a Sunderland side really looking for a goal. Hume is significantly better defensively. McGeady is injured, only got on in the second half against Northampton. He's the key player for the Black Cats. I know I've already said it. He's 35, but he's a beast. He's going to be key to beating Lincoln this season. And Max Power, Gooch and McGeady, the fearsome midfielders to come up against. Over to you, Alan, to talk about Lincoln City.
Right, 1, leave your comments down below, Sunderland fans. How do you pronounce your player's name? Anything other than Smith and Thomas seems to be struggling. I can't even say it now. Thomas seems to be struggling. 2, don't bring up the name Max Power. I've still got nightmares of him goading Oxford United and getting poor Karl Robinson sent to the stands. So he won't, which is maybe a blessing for everybody, really. Look, Sunderland are a powerhouse of a side in this league, and if you look at it on paper, you would think they're going to beat Lincoln City. But Lincoln City don't seem to have a lot of the issues that you've talked about with Sunderland there, in terms of like not knowing your best 11 and what formation to play. They seem a lot more of a settled side under Michael Appleton, and indeed he's done a really good job getting this Lincoln City side into the playoffs, and a lot of it has been built on the superb recruitment job they did over the summer. I'm just going to list off a few of the names that they brought in, which have made up the backbone of this Lincoln side. Alex Palmer, goalkeeper. I think he's made like the second highest number of clean sheets in League One behind the Blackpool goalkeeper. God, that bodes well for Oxford later on. Timothy Anoma, the right back. Lewis Monsma, centre back. Conor McGrandle, centre back stroke centre midfielder. Liam Bridcut in centre midfield. Brennan Jones, a forward, and Morgan Rogers, a forward. So they've really strengthened like the core of that team, and they've all come in sort of like on loan or been transferred in over the summer, as I said. And rather like when Appleton was at Oxford, it seems like the first season was just trying to sort out who he wants, who he doesn't want, and then the jigsaw pieces are in place for the second season, and they're a hell of a lot stronger. And he did indeed get Oxford promoted in that second season, and maybe he'll do the same with Lincoln in his second season there. 4-3-3 is the name of the game. They always seem to play 4-3-3 by and large a couple of games this season. They like to press the ball high. They're not necessarily a big possession-based side, but they do like to press, turn the ball over high, and counter. They've got a lot of pace down the width and the wide areas through Scully and through Johnson. They've got Tom Hopper up front, who's a great target man, not necessarily a great goal scorer, but he is able to link up the play really well. Star man, without a doubt, Oxford's own Jorge Grant, or as Tom would say,
Jorge Grant? No, Jorge Grant!
He's on the ball, folks. 13 goals, 8 assists in the league. He's been one of the best players in League One, not just for Lincoln City. They badly missed him for a period of the season, and their results really tailed off when he was not in the side. Look, and on that fact, Appleton has done a great job getting Lincoln into the playoffs, but there will be a twinge of disappointment, unless they win the playoffs, of course, because they led the league and were in the automatic promotion places for a large period of this season. And it was only a really poor run in around about February to mid-April time, where they only won 1 in 10 games, which really derailed their season, which took them from automatic into the playoff picture. And at that point, it looked like they might have even fallen out of the playoffs. So they did a good job of getting the train back on the rails and getting into the playoffs. The game plan won't change. It'll be the same, but they'll really fancy their chances of pushing this Sunderland side all the way. Expect a threat on the counter. Expect to set a threat from set pieces with the likes of Monsma in the back line up there. And they're the sort of side that are very resilient, Tom. They can come from behind. They're good front runners. I think Sunderland are in for a really, really tough couple of games here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of take a pause and blurt this out. Thomas, what is your prediction for the first leg? Drum roll. I feel a drum roll should be here.
Hold on. I
It's gone from a dramatic pause to he's forgotten what he was going to say. What is going on?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, Ian, because I spoke to you multiple times and I said it on all the live streams that I thought Lincoln would be able to beat this Sunderland side. But I don't think they will. I think Aiden McGeady plays. I think this is the year they start to, at least they'll win a playoff game at least. I'm seeing 2-1 away from home victory for the Black Cats.
Well, that is going to help our comment section, Tom, and no doubt help the number of thumbs ups to thumbs down ratio we'll get on this video as well. So there we go, Sunderland fans. We've got one of us backing you. I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think it's going to be evenly poised heading up to the Stadium of Light. Just going to be one of those typical cagey first leg affairs where both teams will be happy to take it up there. And I don't think Lincoln will be overawed with fans being back in the ground at the Stadium of Light either. So Tom's going for a Sunderland 2-1 win. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. It's time to move on to game number 2.
Wait. We haven't done the most important part of this video outside of predictions, and that's to thank all of the Patreon subscribers. Details are on the screen. Details are down below. Please, if you're enjoying the channel, consider subscribing through Patreon. Our League 2 setting is only £3 a month, but it is so supportive to us. I've got to thank PJ Simpson, Matthew Bowden, Robert Allen, and the effervescent Grand Stamp bettors for all the support they've given us. And as always, please give us a like and a subscribe if you're enjoying this.
Right, that's enough of the hot dogging, grandstanding, and self-promotion out of the way. Let's roll on to the second game. Let's roll on to the main event.
Oxford United hosting Blackpool FC.
Okay. You're going to literally get no sense from me on this. You're just going to hear me waffle blindly and madly about Oxford United. So you can wait for that, and you can hear a little bit about Blackpool from Tom and from one of their own, which is coming up later on in the video.
Right, so the Tangerines came third. They were absolutely phenomenal for the entire second half of the season. Ended on 80 points with plus 23 goal difference. Won 4 of their last 5 games. Won 23 matches. Neil Critchley always said he left Liverpool for something special. I made fun of him at least twice in prediction videos for saying that, and I'm now being made to eat my words. They've been fantastic playing a 4-4-2 as well. Oh, it pains me to see this happening in football. But to be fair, Neil Critchley has shown that he will change the lineup to beat the team in front of him. He has been very adept. You can see why he was basically one of Klopp's assistant managers by the end. Their star player, Yates, he scored 22 goals. He's got 7 assists. He's tied for the 3rd highest scorer in the league. And of course, they've got one of my favorite players in Sully Kaikai. 8 assists, 7 goals. Tied for the 8th most productive assister in the league, creating chances left, right, and center. Bit of news, though, for this club. Daniel Grittarson, oh my God, my pronunciations are getting worse, is definitely out for the playoffs because he's having surgery after hurting his shoulder on April 7th. The club deserved great credit, though, for not putting all staff on furlough during the full first lockdown and second lockdown, and they brought in some really good players to start the season. They brought in Yates, and they brought in the influential CJ Hamilton. Now, CJ might not be playing. He's been injured recently, and they're also hampered by Gary Medine, who's probably, coming into the season, was their best striker, but he's been injured a lot and has only featured intermittently. Keshi Anderson looks like he's back on track, and he stands the chance to be very influential in this game. Goals come from all over this team, though. They doesn't just come from Yates. Everyone chips in with a couple, and that's shown by the fact that Kaikai has 8 assists, but also 7 goals. Their most recent 4-match unbeaten run started a 1-0 victory over playoff-bound Sunderland. And of course, we cannot forget the fact that Luke Garbett plays for them. They also have form on their side. A 0-0 draw at Bloomford Road was followed up by a 2-0 win at the Kassam in March. But you don't need to hear all this from me. Listen to Tangerine Matt tell you all about it.
All right, boys, we are back for the big one. How has it come to this? After all this season, who would have thought at the start of the season that Oxford and Blackpool would be facing each other in the playoffs? No one, but we are. So here is my prediction for the first leg. Excuse the trim, that's why I got my hood up. Not been for a haircut in a while. But anyway, what am I saying then? So it's at the Kassam Stadium. Here's the thing. Oxford are high scorers, and we've got the best defence in the league. So it's anyone's guess how this is going to go. I'm just going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and I know that's generic, but I think in the second leg it'll light up a bit more, but that's for another day. 1-1, I'm going to say Matty Taylor for Oxford, and who's going to score for us? Luke Garbett for us. He's been getting on the score sheet recently. You know, he likes a good drill of the ball to the back post, but yeah, obviously, that's just my prediction. I don't think I've ever been right on one of your predictions, to be honest, but that's what I'm going with. And then at Bloomfield Road at night, I'm going to be there. It's going to light up, and that's going to be a 6 second leg. But for the first leg, I'm going 1-1. Hopefully, we can keep your attack quiet, but we'll see. Up the pool.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and thank you very much, Matt, our very own Tangerine man, who's come up with his prediction there. He's gone for a very cagey first leg by the sounds of it. But Luke, Oxford's own, well, not really Oxford's own, but ex-Oxford's Luke Garbett scoring the equaliser. I don't think that's going to be allowed at Lestad Kaz. No, not having that one at all. But thank you for the video, as always, and thanks for your support. He's going to be there at Bloomfield Road. That's going to be a cracker of a second leg. But We are here now to talk about Oxford United, the side that nicked that last playoff spot on the final day of the season. And for the majority of this season, it looked like that was a dream that just never was going to come true. If you look right back at the start of the season, myself and Thomas did think Oxford should have been in the automatic spots. So in some ways, you could say this side has underachieved. But there have been times in this season where they have been terrible. So you have to just be thankful for what you get, really, and to get that fight. It didn't look like we were going to get that playoff spot, so let's take it. Let's take it. Look, the season was really a bit of a roller coaster. There were times that, if you look at the start, they were dreadful, and then they went on a good run, and then it was really spluttering, poor to average form for a while until this final kind of 6 or 7 games where they pulled their act together and went on a tear and got right into the playoffs. There were a couple of watershed moments along the way for Oxford that have shaped their season, really, and have been influential for their good runs of form. The first one is the change of goalkeeper. Now, this happened when Oxford lost to Swindon. It really was a watershed moment for the club. It was like rock bottom. Nothing could get any worse. And long-time goalkeeper Simon Eastwood was replaced by his understudy Jack Stevens. It was a big call from Robinson, and it proved to be the right call. Oxford hadn't kept a clean sheet up to that point. Stevens has kept 13 so far, and he's really been the solid base that has made that whole defensive unit look a lot stronger. His decision making's good, his shot stopping is good, and he saved a few penalties and won us a few points as well. The second, and a lot of this has come down to Robinson kind of having that kind of let's just throw darts at a dartboard and see what formation comes up kind of attitude, is Brannigan sitting into that holding role. And it was kind of forced upon him with Goran's injury. Alex Goran has pretty much played that for a season and a half or nearly 2 years, but Brannigan's kind of taken that holding role now, and it's given Oxford a different lease of life. They're a little bit more susceptible at the back, but boy, they look good going forward now. Brannigan really has kind of taken that responsibility. His defensive work is good, but his range of passing is excellent, and it gives Oxford a different dimension, and we're able to get more players up the pitch in attacking areas to support Taylor. And it's no coincidence that since he's gone there, Oxford have scored a hell of a lot more goals, and that is Oxford's biggest threat going into this game, is the fact for the first time this season they really look quite dangerous going forward, and they've got a lot of different options. Karl Robinson is undoubtedly going to play 4-3-3. There's a couple of injury concerns. Sam Long at right back might not play. He did his hamstring on the final day of the season. They haven't announced it yet. If he doesn't play, that causes a big hole with the likes of Jamie Hansen or Anthony Ford having to come in and step there. And the other is James Henry, who also went off with an injury in that game. Very influential player for Oxford United, scores goals, although some people do question his decision making, but he's been great for Oxford for a number of years now. But invariably they're going to play 4-3-3. Invariably they're going to want to play a possession-based game. They're going to have Ruffles, Atkinson and Moore, Captain Elliot Moore in the back line, and hopefully Long will play as well. Brannigan in front of them. Then it'll be a midfield in front of Brannigan of most likely it'll be James Henry and Mark Sykes. On the wing is probably going to be Brandon Barker, hopefully coming back from injury. If not, it will probably be Shadipo. And both of those guys add the pace on the wing. Other one is Elliot Lee, who's been really influential signing in from Luton Town, scored 6 goals and set up a few goals as well. He's been an excellent signing. And then 18-goal Matty Taylor up front as well. It's an Oxford side that has options from the bench too, Tom, with the likes of Adji and Winnell. And in defence, you've got options with the likes of Goran or the likes of Hansen that you can bring on too. So the worry is Oxford were quite well handled by Blackpool the last time we played them. They did a pretty good professional job on them, and Oxford didn't really lay a glove, and it was a pretty comfortable 2-0 win. I would argue that Blackpool haven't quite seen the best of Oxford yet. And it's an Oxford side that hopefully won't get dragged into playing a long ball game or playing any type of game they don't want to play, because Oxford are at their best when they play the only way they can, which is passing the ball, controlling the ball, winning the ball up high, but generally playing short passes rather than long balls and getting in behind people. So if Oxford can stick to that, they've got a chance. And I know I've waffled on, but I do apologise. But it is time now for us to give our predictions. And I will lead the way with these predictions, Thomas, and it will be no long pause or no suspense from me. I am going for an Oxford United win. Of course I am. weakness is not a thing I can show on these videos. And I'm going to go for a narrow victory for Oxford. I'm not going to say any 5-0s like I did last year in the playoffs. I think it's going to be Oxford United 2, Blackpool 1.
I actually think this is the match where I see a draw happening. I see this being 0-0. I think Blackpool won't want to concede. They'll set up, they'll play a strong game, but Oxford aren't to be underestimated at home. So 0-0 for me.
Yeah, I to be honest, I'm not surprised by that. I think a lot of people will think these games are going to be quite tight and be settled in the second leg. They usually are, aren't they? But I am excited with the form Oxford do bring into these playoffs.
Right, everybody. That is absolutely everything. Please give us your predictions below. Tell us what you think of your teams if they're in it. Tell us what you think of your teams if they didn't make it in. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the second leg if you want, but there will be a video coming out about that. We are also live streaming Tuesday evening. We will be live streaming the Oxford game. We're very excited. Join in with us from
5:45.
Apparently 5:45, and we will be live talking to you all through the game. We love you all. We hope you're having a fun time. Comment below, and we'll see you Tuesday night.